I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Look, anytime there's a big concert or event coming up, you also end up with stories of how fans are absolutely heartbroken, how they were ready to get tickets and then they couldn't get tickets, and then those tickets end up like almost immediately on ticket resale websites for 4 or 5 times the cost. I mean, this happened really recently, right? With the Blue Jays World Series run, the Ontario Premier Doug Ford said he's going to look into anti-scalping legislation, but he's not given a timeline on how that's going to go. But in the UK, they are a few steps ahead on this. The government is proposing legislation that would make it illegal to resell tickets for more than face value. Rob Davies is a reporter of The Guardian. He's been covering the issue of ticket scalping in the UK for almost a decade. Rob, how are you, pal?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I want to say how much I enjoy the music you've been talking about today.
Thanks, man.
I saw De La Soul earlier this summer in London with the Roots. Really good gig. And anytime my wife and kids are out, you're going to find me singing Many Rivers to Cross at top volume in my kitchen. So
that must have been an amazing show. That must have been an amazing time.
Oh, God. Yeah, it was incredible. Really, really good. It wasn't, I mean, it was a kind of typical London summer's day. It was raining like crazy.
Yeah.
But everybody had a good time.
But I see, like, it's the reason this is relevant to what we're talking about today is that you went to see a concert show. You went to see a concert, and sometimes those tickets can be a little bit hard to track down. But your government, the UK government, is looking to do something about this. Can you just briefly explain what the legislation is intending to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly simple. They want to make the resale of a ticket for anything above face value illegal. And the idea is to stop touts, we would call them here. I don't know if they say scalpers in Canada. They certainly say that in the US. So the idea is to stop them because there's a kind of an industrial scale scalping industry in this country conducted via a couple of websites, mainly called Viagogo and StubHub. So they're also going to restrict the service fees that can be put on a ticket. So that's in order to stop the touts or the resale platforms simply hiding the kind of profit uplift in a massively inflated service fee. And then they're going to make the platforms themselves liable, legally liable, if any of these laws are broken. So if they allow touts to resell tickets at above face value, they can be fined 10% of their global turnover, which for some of these companies, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
I was going to say those companies are gigantic, so they make a lot of money. So that's pretty significant punishment. These are pretty intense rules, and I think like here, certainly in this country, there's a lot of conversation about like what should people do, how should we handle this, and I guess like fans have been complaining about this for some time. This is not a new complaint. Why is this legislation happening now, Rob?
Well, people have been complaining about it here too for a long time, and the first time that an MP proposed some legislation to deal with this was 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I've been writing about it for 10 years and listening to people campaigning for this, right?
Yeah.
The big difference is that we had a change of government. So the previous government had been under pressure to do this for a long time. They made it pretty clear they didn't think it was necessary. It was more of a economically right-wing government. And so their idea was, this is just the market at work, right? The market has decided that these tickets should actually be more expensive, and this is just the free market in action. And we had a previous minister in the government saying that scalpers were just classic entrepreneurs. There was another minister who said that he had happily used Viagogo, which is the market leader in resale in this country. So there just wasn't the appetite to do it. And then when we had a general election last year, the Labour government, which is the government that won the election, the government we have now, their manifesto said, we are going to do something about this. We're going to crack down on ticket touts. And now there's some manifesto pledges people would say they haven't delivered on, but they are delivering on this one.
I should say, like earlier this year, the UK government consulted the public to hear their thoughts about how ticket prices should be sort of capped. There was this concept of face value, but also like up to 30% more than the original price. I'm wondering if like there were any other ideas that were talked about, like restricting the ticket transferring, which I think is used in some parts of the world. Were there other ideas on the table before this?
Yeah, not really. It's been quite binary. It's like, do we cap the resale value or do we not? I mean, I think with restricting any kind of ticket transfer, the thing you run into there is there are genuine reasons why people can't go to a gig and might want to transfer their ticket to a friend or sell it back and get what they paid for it, right? And so we do have these face value platforms where you can do that, and I've used them. You can't go to a gig, you sell your ticket, you get back the money that you paid for it, and I think most people think that's fair.
Right.
So the government wanted to allow this kind of thing so that fans aren't punished if through no fault of their own, they can't go to the gig that they really want to go to.
Rob, I got to tell you, here in Canada, Manitoba is the only province that banned reselling tickets for more than face value. That law was scrapped a couple of years ago. They said it was hard to enforce. It was hard to enforce the law with out-of-province sellers, so that's why they abandoned it. Do you think the UK is going to have a better luck enforcing this ban?
Look, that's really hard to tell. I mean, obviously, we're dealing with cross-border enforcement rather than province by province. So in theory, it could be even harder, right? And a lot of touts, a lot of scalpers are now basing themselves overseas. A lot will depend on how the law is written. There are some people who want to see the legislation apply at a multinational level. Now, that sounds like it's not going to work, because how are you going to, the UK police are not going to go after touts who are based in Dubai, Singapore, the US, wherever it might be. Yeah. But actually, we have done this before. We did this with the London 2012 Olympics. And you're not going overseas to arrest people, but what you are doing is cooperating with enforcement bodies in different countries, speaking to internet service providers and getting them to take down the offending websites. So there are options out there. We don't know the detail yet this legislation is going to take, but I do know that there are experts out there who are advising the government on this stuff and how to make it more effective. So yeah, we'll see how that shakes out.
Now, ticket reselling is one bucket. The other bucket is, of course, dynamic pricing. So that's similarly troublesome, but it's slightly different. How is that being handled?
So there was a big fuss. Dynamic pricing has been going on for a long time, but there was a big fuss about it last year when Oasis announced the reunion tour. Now, obviously, Oasis are huge in the UK.
Huge here too, pal.
They hadn't played together for a long time. This was like a rapprochement between the two brothers who've been fighting for years. And so the demand was insane. And what was happening is people were logging on to get these tickets. They were getting in the queue. The online queue could be 2-3 hours long. They get to the end of the queue and they find the price is actually 3 times what they were told it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And most people think of this as dynamic pricing, a bit like if you order an Uber and you get this surge pricing, right? At times when it's busy, the price goes up. Yeah. And so people were getting very upset about dynamic pricing. Now, we had an inquiry into it in this country, and what they discovered was this wasn't actually dynamic pricing. The way it worked is they had, say, 10,000 tickets at £100, 10,000 tickets at £200, 10,000 tickets at £300. Right. And once the first 10,000 were gone, you started paying the higher rates, right? So the price wasn't responding to the amount of demand. It was always layered like that.
Oh, I see.
Now, so what they did was they did a consultation into this, and they found, look, the way that worked wasn't transparent. People weren't told that when they got in the queue, they might end up having to pay more. So it wasn't true dynamic pricing in that sense of the word, but the government has actually done something about that, and they've gone to Ticketmaster, which dominates the live event space, some would say to too great a degree, and told them that they have to be much more transparent about this kind of thing. So there's been some improvement in that respect too.
And also, like, some artists at least have an ability to say, yes, we'd like to opt into dynamic pricing, or maybe not. I got like about a minute left here, Rob, and you've been covering this for 10 years, a little bit over 10 years, because you couldn't get tickets to a Radiohead concert. So, like, you're not just a reporter in this sort of realm, you're also a fan. Tell me about what it feels like to watch this issue finally be addressed after you've been covering it for so long.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's really important to me. A lot of my family are professional musicians. I've been in bands all my life. I play the drums. You can probably sort of see my drum kit in the background.
I can,
yeah. And I know what people in music think about touts. These are people who don't have the talent, who are just coming in, taking some money off the table, and have contributed nothing to the music industry. Half of them couldn't find middle C on a piano or hold a guitar the right way up. So to get to this stage, it does feel like an enormous vindication. I think now we've got to watch to see whether it actually works in the way that it's supposed to.
Rob, it's been wonderful to have you. I really appreciate your insight. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Of course. Rob Davies is a reporter at The Guardian. He's based in London, UK. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. We will be back tomorrow. We will see you then.